All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at The Volume. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great week. Well, I just witnessed my favorite basketball moment as a fan that I can remember in my time watching the game. That was incredible as Team USA straight up dead to rights for 3.5 quarters. With about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, lock in and come back to beat Serbia on the strength of incredible performances from Steph Curry and LeBron James, some great late game contributions from Kevin Durant. Joel Embiid contributed a lot as well. We're going to get into it from the perspective of both teams, and then we'll talk briefly about France, Germany at the end. I have a flight to catch, so I only have about 20 minutes here, so I can't get into as much detail as I usually do, but I really wanted to get this reaction out before I head out of town. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss show announcements. Don't forget about our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight. And last but not least, keep dropping mailbag questions in those YouTube comments so that we can keep hitting them throughout the rest of the summer. And then real quickly, before we get started, I want to talk to you guys about Game Time. There are lots of amazing shows to see this summer. You can see your favorite comedians, your favorite musicians. There's Major League Baseball games going on. I'm going to see Dead & Company at the Sphere tonight. That's literally why I'm flying out. They've got 3 shows left tonight, Friday, and Saturday. If you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend you guys checking it out. But when you're trying to get tickets, especially close to the showtime, it can be a stressful process. And this is where Game Time provides an incredible experience. First of all, it's not a convoluted process. You can check out in as few as 2 taps. You don't get confused by the pricing. It's all in pricing, so you know exactly what you're paying as you're getting into that process. You don't have to worry about what you're getting for your money. You can get a good idea of what the view is from your seat within the app. And then they have some really cool deals that pop up. They have zone deals where you can pick a section in the arena. They'll pick your seats for you in the arena and you get extra savings that way. One of the big ones that I've been using a lot is the flash deals, where Game Time will just discount tickets close to showtime below what they're originally listed at, and you can get really good deals. I've actually used that twice for Dead & Company tickets and got significantly better deals than I was able to find elsewhere. They have an incredible experience, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code HOOPS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code HOOPS for $20 off. That's HOOPS. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's talk some basketball. So first of all, what a game. That was probably the most stressed out I've been watching a basketball game since the 2016 finals and Game 7 when obviously as a LeBron fan, I was rooting for them in that crazy game. But even then, the Cavaliers kind of controlled that game. They took I want to say they went up by like 11 or 12 points in like the mid-third quarter. And it was close and it was hectic and back and forth. But this game had a very different type of feel. Serbia straight up controlled this game for more than 3 quarters. And every time the U.S. team would make a little run and cut it to 8 or cut it to 9, Serbia would hit a couple shots and they'd get it right back up to 14, 15 points. They came ready to play today, and it was everybody. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world, and he was the best player in this game, and all of that was on display. Only weird thing with Jokic is he still can't hit a jump shot to save his life, which has been a continuing trend dating back to last season. Don't know what's going on there. Hopefully he gets that worked out in time for next season. I just think they're going to need him to be able to hit those shots in order to get to where they want to go next year. But Jokic was incredible, and what was kind of funny is the narrative, if USA would have lost, would have been like Jokic defeats the stars of the USA by himself. But like anybody who watched that game knows, like even though Jokic is the best player in the world, the Serbian dudes came ready to play. Bogdan Bogdanovic was absolutely hooping, was cooking, hitting super tough shots. They had 5 different players hit multiple threes. They were defending well. They were flying around in rotation. They were crashing the glass. That Serbian team came ready to play, and they played well enough to give themselves a really good chance to win the game. So I just want to tip the cap to Serbia, tip the cap to Jokic. He's an indomitable force, and it's so stressful watching him. Is like you're watching him back down Anthony Davis or back down LeBron James or back down Kevin Durant, and you're like, you feel hopeless. You feel utterly hopeless. And to those Serbian role players' credit, every single time they double teamed, every single time they came off the baseline cutter, it was a dunk or it was a three, or it was a dunk or it was a three. Those guys just had their tic-tac-toe in terms of how to handle the double teams down pat. Jokic was making the right read every time. Shout out to the Serbian team. They brought something special out of this Team USA team that I think as basketball fans we were dying to see. And it's something that if you look at the 2008 team, the 2012 team, the 1992 team, the three other kind of super, super stacked Team USA rosters, those teams, even though the 2008 team and 2012 team ended up in semi-competitive games, they were never profoundly threatened. And that really is what you saw in that fourth quarter, is what it looks like when you watch the best players in the world, specifically a Team USA squad that usually doesn't get pushed to this point, when you watch them play desperate basketball. And desperate basketball is a very different type of basketball than the type of basketball that you see in a regular 82-game regular season, right? There's a fierce attention to detail that you need. Every box out matters. Every transition sprint matters. Every single decision you make with the basketball, every jump shot carries a world of pressure. And what I thought was super fascinating is here we are in this predicament for Team USA. And the three greatest players of this era, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, were the three guys for Team USA that stepped up and got it done. Steph, in the early portion of the game in particular, when Serbia was red hot and hitting everything, Steph was red hot too, and he kept USA close enough for them to kind of remain in that striking distance so they could give themselves a chance to come back and make it a game. And then late in the game, off of a monster screen from Joel Embiid, a huge play from him there, Steph breaks three on the left wing and knocks down the lead-changing shot to put Team USA up one, and then a big-time transition layup from him too, couple of clutch free throws. Steph Curry, who's had a nightmare time with Team USA, who I think his value is understated because even though he's not making shots or hasn't been making shots, he's still been one of their primary player movement pieces that's kind of maintained spacing. I think there's a lot of value that comes from that. Again, even though Steph hasn't been making shots, he's been guarded like he's Steph Curry, which carries a great deal of value. But as we were hoping, eventually Steph would break out, and he broke out in a huge way tonight. 34 points, made a bunch of huge plays, had a huge steal late too. Just tip of the cap to Steph Curry. That was a legendary performance from him. LeBron James, a triple-double. I think he had 16 points, if I remember correctly, 10 assists to just 2 turnovers, 12 rebounds, was battling Nikola Jokic in that fourth quarter, fronting the post, absorbing the blows that allowed Joel Embiid to kind of be in that back line ready to help behind him. He got a huge stop on Jokic in a one-on-one situation along the right side where he forced Jokic into a tough one-leg fadeaway and got a stop. Bunch of big situations where he was battling with Jokic, situations where LeBron knew he wasn't even going to get the ball. But he just was I'm putting everything I have into this jump to just get a piece of it so that someone else might. His only job was to make sure Jokic didn't get the basketball. That is a tough job. And then on top of that, to dig deep for 2 massive transition drives. The one with where KD was in with him in transition. He finished with his right hand on the left side of the basket. Look at how explosive he was off of that left knee on that play. You could tell he poured everything he had into that play. And it kind of reminds me of other moments in LeBron's career where it's when push comes to shove, LeBron knows that he can just get that athleticism to engage in a way that makes him truly unstoppable in these short bursts, even at his old age. I thought that was an incredible LeBron James performance. And then Kevin Durant, who had a rough first 3 quarters and was struggling to knock down shots, hit several huge jump shots late. Steph and LeBron were tired. They desperately needed someone to create a bucket. And there it was, up 2. Late clock situation. If you don't score there, Serbia has a chance to go down to tie or take the lead. And it's you either leave Jokic on an island and he ties the game, or you double team and you give up a 3-point shot to one of these guys that's been hitting. And KD hits a nasty left to right crossover dribble and gets to that one dribble pull up off that right wing and effectively ices the game for Team USA. I tweeted after the game about how that was just such a cool moment for me as a fan. And one of my buddies, Tommy, ended up quote tweeting it and said something that I thought was interesting. He said, one of the last legitimately legacy defining moments for all three of these guys, and they came through. And it's true. Like, I don't think everybody's like worried about what Steph can accomplish with that limited Warriors roster, what LeBron can accomplish at 40 years old with a Lakers team that's super incompetent and doesn't have another player other than AD that can play both ends of the floor. Like, I don't think anybody really cares too much about that. Like, KD post Achilles, like, I think people know what KD is and what he's capable of. But here in this setting, with this roster against a Serbian team that doesn't have as much talent, this was a true high-pressure, legacy-defining moment for all three of these guys, and all three of them came through in a huge way. And as a basketball fan, I was that was just a really cool moment. And I guys, we're not going to get very many moments like that as basketball fans in our lives. And I'm just, it was one of those days where I'm thankful to get to do what I do for a living so that we can come on here and talk about it. It was just a ton of fun. Shout out to those three guys. I literally can't say enough about those three just in that situation. There's so much part. They were down 15, I think, in the fourth quarter. Like Steve Kerr, like, the starters came in to start the second half, and they were playing some really good basketball, and they got it to like 7, I think, in the mid third. And then Kerr went to an all bench group to end the third quarter, and Serbia immediately ballooned the lead back up. And by the time the starters came back in, they were in a deep hole. And you got to imagine that going out there. You're walking out onto the floor. Steph Curry, LeBron James, you guys have the reputation as being the best American players of this era, and all of it is on the line. In a small sample with a huge deficit, you have to play damn near perfect basketball to close that game out, and they did. Well, I can't say enough about those guys, and I can't wait to get more and more into this when I have some more time and I'm not running out the door to get to a flight. But one other USA player I wanted to shout out before we move on, Joel Embiid. It was 19 points on 11 shots. It was kind of a frustrating experience for me as a basketball fan rooting so hard in this game because, like, Embiid got so many huge buckets in the fourth quarter, but he also gave up 4 offensive rebounds where he was just getting beat to the ball by that slower center. I can't remember his name, the other center that was playing with Jokic. And I was like, it was like, I'd be like, grab the fucking basketball. And then like 5 seconds later, he hit a huge shot. And I'd be like, damn, that's a huge shot. Then he'd give it up again. I'd be like, what are you doing? And then he'd go down to the other end. He hit a huge shot. It was like just an incredible roller coaster as a fan rooting for Joel Embiid in that moment. But I thought that was Joel Embiid's first like huge moment for Team USA. And I will always remember when we think back to the 2024 Olympic Team USA basketball team, I will always think back to the fact that Joel Embiid, after really struggling through the exhibition games and through the pool play games, and even a little bit in that first round game against Brazil, he although he hits a bunch of threes in that game, but he's been struggling defensively. He's been struggling in a bunch of like specific details. And all I can remember now looking back is like when the shit hit the fan and they needed somebody to step up and a bunch of guys on that team couldn't. Joel Embiid was one of the guys who did. And I thought that was a huge winning moment for him. I'd like to see him tighten up some of those details. He needs to come down with some of those loose balls. And those are the little details that'll be the next step that Joel takes to win the championship. If he wants to be an NBA champion, he's got to just bring that extra level of competitiveness, that extra level of conditioning, that extra level of just savage competitiveness to get it done. And I think he's going to get there. I think it's only a matter of time. But that was just a really cool moment for him too. And I'll always remember his contributions in that particular game. Shout out to Team USA. Shout out to Serbia. Really cool moment. You know the beautiful thing about being a sports fan? There's only like 2 days the whole year without a game. 2. With so much happening and so much action, that makes just about every day game day at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It really couldn't be any easier or any simpler. Baseball, golf, UFC, there's something for every fan of every sport to bet on DraftKings. And I know it's early, but football season will be here before you know it. And the Kansas City Chiefs are currently the favorite to win the Super Bowl on DraftKings at plus 550. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I want to move on to France, Germany really, really quick. Germany jumped them early. They went up double figures a couple of separate times. And offense is always the issue for France. Their guards just aren't very good. Evan Fournier didn't have as good of a night tonight. They really rode their big guys. Their Guerschon Yabusele and Matthias Lasort. Those two guys were just bullying guys on the block. Yabusele, I'm trying to get better at pronouncing these names. I appreciate you guys who've been correcting me in the comments. Yabusele had a bunch of really nice slashing possessions too, where he was getting downhill. He had a nasty dunk. Yabusele is an interesting player. I'm not sure what his contract situation is overseas, but he looks like a guy who could play in the NBA to me. And then Matthias Lasort, just big time post moves down the stretch. There was a huge moment where he had a big step through for like a little layup right at the front of the rim, and he had a huge moment where he's just running up and down the floor, just screaming, "He's too fucking small." And that's why I love basketball so much. There's like these unbridled, unfiltered moments of pure competitive expression that just make it like really truly special. And like today was just a fun day as a basketball fan to watch all these games. But shout out those guys for carrying things on offense. But I really thought the defense was what got the job done for France. They had a stretch where in the late third quarter, they had like 47 points, I think, and they didn't score. They had like 53 points like 10 minutes later. I can't remember the exact. I have to look it up again. I don't have the time for it today, but like they really locked in on defense in that late third quarter, early fourth quarter stretch, and it just gave them enough opportunities to get out in transition, enough times to make enough plays to build enough of a margin to give them a chance to win that game. They almost blew it late as Germany came back, hit a bunch of threes, but they ended up closing the deal. Victor Wembanyama, a classic box score watching game. Same thing happened last game where it was like I had a lot of guys going like, "Oh, he wasn't even the best player on the team." There was like he only had 7 points, and it's like he just does so much defensively to impact the game that extends so far beyond the box score. He was 4 for 17 today, and I thought he had a really good game. He was getting tons of deflections, tying up Dennis Schroeder on switches, had a huge block on Dennis Schroeder on a switch in the second half. He had 3 blocks. He was just an absolutely disruptive force. Hit a huge 3-point shot late. He had another nice post feed to I think it was Cardinier cutting down the middle. Cordinier, I think, cutting down the middle, and he just ended up smoking the dunk. But it was a really nice pass that just kind of had an unfortunate finish. But just France USA is going to be a ton of fun. The home crowd element for France is going to be big. I would imagine that we'll see a little bit more of Gobert in that game just because of how much interior size that Team USA has. But man, that was what a great day of basketball. I'm sorry I can't get into more detail for you guys today, but I get back from Vegas on Saturday afternoon, so I do plan on doing a video on Saturday where we break down the gold medal game. Keep dropping mailbag questions because we're going to do a full mailbag after the gold medal game because I leave for vacation to the Pacific Northwest on Sunday. So I want to have some stuff to run while I'm out of town. So I've already recorded 3 player rankings videos that are going to run next week. And and then I'll do that mailbag tomorrow. So we'll have like 4 episodes worth of content that'll be running while I'm out of town. And then I get back a week from Sunday and we'll continue the player rankings from then. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting me and supporting the show. And I will see you guys next time.